There are 10 ways the Google Pixel 7 Pro is better than the iPhone 14 Pro. Number 1 is one of my favorite features on the Pixel, and that is voice typing that actually genuinely works. Now, I can't believe we're still almost in 2023 and Siri still struggles to accurately transcribe voice messages. With Google, you can add emojis and easily move the cursor around to add extra words or change spelling mistakes. Next up are the cameras on the Pixel. Now, the Pixel gets something iPhone users can only dream of, and that is a 48 megapixel telephoto lens with 5 times optical zoom. Now, on iPhone, you only have a 12 megapixel telephoto that does 3 times optical zoom. This means so on the Pixel, you can zoom in closer and get crisper, higher resolution images than you can on the iPhone. It's not quite Samsung S22 Ultra level with their 10 times zoom, but as we saw this year, Apple actually went the other way, and instead of adding in more zoom, they combined 2 of their existing cameras to give you an added 2 times optical zoom. And I, for one, couldn't care for having a 2 times optical zoom when I already have a 1 and a 3 times. 5 times on the Pixel means I can snap photos of my kids playing without having to get right up close to them each time, and we all know that kids don't stay still long enough for that either, so yeah. 5 times zoom for the win. And the camera wins don't stop there. You can use Pixel's 30 times super res zoom in photo mode, which is where Google tries to use their clever AI processing to enhance the image once you've zoomed in, and 20 times zoom when in video to get you again much closer to what you want to film if it's from a distance. Now, this compares to iPhone's 15 times zoom and 9 times zoom respectively with video. And since you have that 48 megapixel telephoto on the Pixel, it just makes for better quality images too. Of course, how usable those images are at their maximum zoom is debatable, as well as how stable any video shot at those distances will be. But on the Pixel, you get this stabilization that kicks in when in video mode, which helps you hold the camera steady. But I definitely noticed that there is more detail in photos taken on the Pixel when compared to ones taken on the iPhone at maximum zoom. Switching it up now, a couple of points on that great tensor chip being used for voice features. Firstly, I love being able to do anything on my phone, and I can just tap a button to instantly have the phone translate anything I'm watching or listening to. It works really, really well. It's fast, it's accurate. All of it's on board using that tensor chip and not having to use any of Google's cloud services. I'm actually in France at the time of you watching this video, and the Pixel is the only phone I consider taking with me to get me out of any tricky moments of not understanding what someone else is saying. Because number 5 is to do with some more real-time clever magic that Google's tensor chip does really well. It's more powerful than using the camera to translate what it sees. Those are, all cool. But the Pixel can also enable you to hold conversations between 2 people in totally different languages, translating as you go. Again, I'm sure I'm going to use it in France a heck of a lot, but I can speak into the phone and it will translate what I say into French and then translate their French response back into English. It's absolutely crazy. With no connection to the internet, all done on the device. Absolute magic. Speaking of magic, Pixel's Magic Eraser is yet another thing that my iPhone can't do without some kind of third-party trickery and some fairly fiddly steps. But once again, the Pixel and its tensor chip comes in clutch right here for magically erasing all of the random people or objects which are spoiling your photos. It's a super simple process. Open up a photo, go into the settings, and sometimes it will even automatically suggest the objects or people that you might want to remove from the image. Otherwise, you can very loosely just draw around the thing that you want to remove. And again, all on device, and the Pixel will just do its thing and remove that person or the object and just really intelligently fill in the background. Now, depending on the photo and the size of what you're removing, it is sometimes pretty easy to tell what you've done, but for images you share online or send to your friends, it is quite good. Next up is the price, because whilst it may be a personal opinion as to which phone is marginally better on some things than others, the price differences between the Pixel 7 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro is staggering. $749 for the Pixel Pro versus $999 for the iPhone 14 Pro. That's $250 more expensive. And that's just in the US, because outside of the US, for example here in the UK, the Pixel is £849 versus £1,099 for the iPhone 14 Pro. So both of them are more expensive, but still the iPhone is £250 more expensive than the Pixel. And for essentially 25% more expensive than the iPhone, would you say that it's 25% better than the Pixel? Let me know, maybe down in the comments down below. Oh, a quick shout out now, not sponsored or anything, but I recently picked up these skins from Dbrand after seeing basically every other YouTuber advertise them. So I've got their newest Damascus case, I think they call it, for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which looks really sick with reflections. I also decided to skin my M2 MacBook Air with this contrasting like matte black with this glossy black pattern etched into it. Now it's probably too late for Christmas now, but as someone who doesn't often need a full case because I don't typically drop my gadgets, these skins do prevent like minor scratches, and in the MacBook Air's case, with that very, very fingerprinty like midnight color, gives you a really nice finish that's pretty unique to you. So yeah, if you've seen a bunch of YouTube videos promoting Dbrand, then as someone who's recently given them a try, I really quite like them. Anyway, number 8 on the list is Dynamic Islands. This ridiculously large thing plagues every iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max, and I can understand what they were trying to do to improve their notch. And I also understand that their Face ID needs to have all these extra sensors on the front to keep it secure. But since moving to this dynamic island and also moving it away from the top of the display, it actually takes up more space on the screen than the notch did. Now this means that the space above the dynamic island is just wasted. And now when you watch content like full screen, you get this stupid black cutout in the way when previously it only really affected the very edge. Whereas over on the Pixel, we still have like Face Unlock, although it's not as secure as Face ID, but a pinhole camera. Yes, a pinhole camera that's, well, not quite a pinhole, but it's not a huge cutout in the display like you have on the iPhone either. Now the Pixel's pinhole camera is unobtrusive, it doesn't interfere when watching content, and you just don't notice it after a while. Yeah, sure, it's not got the features of the dynamic island whilst displaying countdown timers or until your parking expires, but also it doesn't make a mess of your screen like 90% of the time. Next, we've got charging speeds. Now the iPhone 14 Pro charges at just 20 watts when using a cable, 15 watts when using wireless charging. The Pixel 7 Pro on the other hand comes with 30 watt wired charging, so 10 watts faster, and 23 watts wireless charging, so 8 watts faster, which is better than the iPhone. But given that phones these days are coming out with upwards of 120 watts ultra hyper fast charging, or whatever they're calling it, I would like to see some faster charging technology come to both of these phones, as I don't really feel that the Pixel or the iPhone really charge that fast. Of course, it's definitely better on the Pixel with the 30 watts over the 20 watts with a wire, and don't forget that neither of them come with the charging brick anymore, so you need to buy or find one lying around your house. Now I prefer going with these anchor chargers, which I tend to use like everywhere now. There's one underneath my desk here, just because it means I can go away and I can normally just carry one charger with me and plug all my devices in at once. I'll link down below if you want to just pick one of these up. And next is something which I think works better in the US than it does here in the UK, but it's still awesome all the same. Call screening on the Pixel is when someone calls you, and you can then tell the Google Assistant to answer the call for you, and it will basically let them know that their call is being screened to try and prevent the number of times and calls we all get from spam callers or those automatic dialers, the calls where you answer and you hear like the click as their end actually connects. Well, call screening solves a lot of that by actually answering the call for you. It then just goes and asks them what their name is and where they're calling from, and then it transcribes the whole conversation into text for you to just read on your phone. Now, if you think it might be junk or perhaps you just don't want to talk to the person, you can just get the Google Assistant to tell them not to call again or just end the call. Really, really good. Except here in the UK, perhaps it's just the accent, but most people think it's just voicemail and tend to hang up before the assistant's even gotten to the end of their introduction. And that kind of sucks because when it works really, really well. Why do you think the Pixel beats the iPhone, or maybe the iPhone beats the Pixel? Comment down below.